Hey you guys, thank you for taking time to watch the video. I apologize that I won't have a regular video this morning. I do encourage you read Hebrews chapter 4 verses 14 through 16. That's going to be our main verse. And I can't really, unfortunately I've run into some issues with recording, and so I'm just making this short video to let you know that I won't have the regular message up this week. However, read that video, read the passage, Hebrews 4, verses 14 through 16, and just let me encourage you guys. In verse 16, we're told that we can confidently come before the throne of mercy. And if you take nothing else out of that, understand this: God wants you to be in His presence, and that's what ought to be driving us. Our love of God ought to push us towards being in His presence, desiring to be in His presence, and that ought to move us daily towards Christ. And so, if you've been reading through Hebrews and struggling with understanding certain things, when we get to verse 16 of chapter 4, understand the point is God wants us in His presence. He's offered us the opportunity. He opened that door. We have the privilege of receiving mercy from God. We can go seeking mercy, but when we get there we find grace, which is what we don't deserve. Mercy is not receiving what we do deserve. Grace is receiving what we don't deserve. And so we experience the love, the mercy of God, the forgiveness of God. We also experience the blessings of having Christ, Jesus, who has lived sinless. He faced the same temptations we face, but sinlessly, and we can lean on Him. He's defeated sin, and so where we fall short, He's already experienced victory, and He can give us victory in our lives over those things. And so I encourage you guys, read that, appreciate that, think about that, and hopefully you can focus on just the greatness of God, the mercy of God, the love of God available in that. And that's really what we're being pushed towards. When we sin, we ought to seek the mercy of God, and when we do that, we get to be in the very presence of Christ. We get to experience that grace, that mercy, that love. And that's where we ought to desire to be, in the very presence of God. And that's what God wants for us. So think about the prodigal son. The son goes away. He's disrespectful to the father, living against the father, but then he turns around. And when he does, the father's there, he loves him, and he brings him back. And that's all that the Father wants, is just to have His Son with Him. And that's what God wants for us. He just wants to have us with Him. So when we sin, that mercy is there. And God wants us to turn to Him and to be in His presence. And so I encourage you guys, when we sin, let's turn to Christ. Let's not drift with sin. Let's not harden our hearts, but rather let's turn to Christ and let's seek that mercy and experience that grace. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.